Welcome, everyone, to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Appreciate you joining me, as always. And it's Friday, so you know what that means. It's Fan Day. That's right. Today is the day where we bring on some fans that, have supported me over the years and, enjoy having them come on. And then we've got two new people that'll be coming on, two new fans that have been supporters. And what we do on Fan Day is real simple, folks. We get you on, talk to you like if we're sitting on the couch, so it's not scripted or any of that stuff. Now, naturally, it's Commanders talk. That's what the podcast is. It's Commander centric. So we're going to talk about the offseason needs of the team, something that I talked about yesterday on yesterday's episode. But today we're going to talk with the fans, get their take on it, on what does this team need to do to close the gap against the Philadelphia Eagles, who just won the Super Bowl. Also talk about the excitement of being a fan. Is the fan base back? So yes, some of these were questions that I asked on my most recent pod, but now we'll get a chance to get the answers from the fans themselves. So when we come back, we're going to have some fans on and we're going to have a good long session of just talk, having fun. But it's going to be a long one, folks. So sit back and relax. As always, if you want to subscribe to this podcast, you can do so easily on YouTube. You can subscribe to it at The Lake Lewis Jr. That's the channel. The show is The Lake Lewis Jr. Show. And then if you want to subscribe to it via audio, you can do so by going to any of the major carriers, and you can see it right here on the screen. Also, if you haven't done so already and you see that red subscribe button right there on the bottom of the screen, subscribe. That's always a good thing. So definitely appreciate all the support. So when we come back, we're going to have our fan day right here on the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Hang tight. I asked this on my pod, and it was, is the fan base back? Brandon, you kind of alluded to it, but I want to get your thoughts. Is this thing fully back? Because I've seen more burgundy and gold anywhere I go, grocery store, in DC, in Richmond. I mean, I've seen it all over the place. Do you feel like the Commander's name is still something that's going to keep some fans from coming back? Or do you think that should be just water over the bridge and the fan base is back? So we'll go back counterclockwise. We'll start with Josh on this one. Do you feel like the fan base is back and you are being recorded?
Yeah. No, I got you.
No pressure.
I don't think we ever left. I don't think we ever left. I think we've been beaten down for 2+ decades. I think we've been beaten down quite a bit. The negativity just kills me. But a lot of that has been washed away, which is a beautiful thing. I still think there's a few people they're still in shell shock about this season. But after getting to the championship game, we shut them up pretty quick. I don't think they've ever left. I just think that we've been beaten down for a long time, and this kid has really picked this fan base. It brought him back, but I really don't think that they left. All my family and friends that have been fans for my whole life, we've been around. Okay. We've just been crying for a long time.
Okay. All right. Let's go back down to Brad here. What do you think?
If you would have asked me this question a couple months ago, I'd probably say I don't know, because I was there for the Tennessee game and we were up 3, and it was silent in that stadium. And I couldn't understand it. Remember, I messaged you like, what's up? And you said the casual fans, but now that I think we got to the championship, people will think this is real and not just counterfeit. Now I think the fans will be back, because even up here in Detroit, I'm seeing a lot of Washington jerseys now. You know what I mean? I see a lot of people wearing these Washington jerseys around. And Detroit, the Lions around here is God.
It's bonkers. It's something. It really is.
It is. It is.
But,
Detroit, the Lions around here is the thing. But to see a few Washington jerseys sprinkled out here and there, and like Josh said, the real fans have always been there. It's just some casual fans who are just coming into football, the kids of the kids. They are the ones that are coming back. And with JD5, I think we're on our way.
I would have thought the Red Wings will be the big thing, but yeah, that's pretty dope.
See, and up here though, everybody has won. Pistons won, the Tigers have won, the Red Wings, the Lions is the only thing who haven't won. And when the Lions do win it, they're gonna shut this city down.
Yeah.
I said it. You guys remember I said it on this show. And I felt bad saying it. I said, but it's going to be some disappointed Lions fans, because I felt like Washington just matched up with them for whatever the reason was. I just felt like going into Ford Field, they had matched up, and I'd said that on the show with you guys, and they did. That was probably their most complete game of any game this year. Was that win against Detroit? But real quick, Reggie, what's your take on the fan base? Do you feel like it's getting back to where it was, when we were a lot younger and had hair?
Yes, yes, I do. So I'm in North Carolina, and as you know, this was Redskins country all the way down to Georgia,
Mhm.
from Delaware down. I have friends who would, I'm not watching the game. I'm gonna go play golf, or I'm gonna go, shooting or whatever. And I'm like, I've been in front of the TV since Sunday Ticket was around. If it wasn't on regular broadcast TV, I was always there, but I agree, some of the fans weren't. But this season, for some reason, folks were like, "Hey, man, you gonna watch the game?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna watch the game." And then all those old heads were like, "Yo, this kid JD5, he's good." And I'm like, "Yeah, he is."
Mhm.
But once we hit that NFC Championship game, they were like, "Oh man, I'm all in." I'm like, "Welcome back." Hey, our bandwagon got plenty of big wheels. We can take a lot more fans.
It did. It did. It was like guys woke up came back from the dead, man. It was
Yep.
crazy. Brandon out there in LA, you mentioned you've been seeing a lot of the fans out there. So, I mean, do you feel like this thing is back?
I do, and I was lucky enough to go to 3 games, home games this year. I went to the Cleveland game, I went to the last Philly game where they came back, and I went to the Atlanta game where they clinched. And I really didn't see where I really saw it was the Cincinnati game, obviously,
Mhm.
where that's when I was kind of like, okay, something's going on here, right? And then actually going to the Cleveland game, it
Mhm.
felt like a college football game. It
It
was
did.
like there was just something about that game that going a few games and it had been years since I've been to a game and that game in particular, the crowd was just electric and people just seemed like something was different. And I remember when JD5 rolled right through that bomb to Terry that he almost got that touchdown. The place just exploded and they were doing the wave. I mean, when was the last time you seen people doing the wave in FedEx Field?
It's so
I mean,
funny.
Never.
It's so funny.
Ever.
or Northwest Stadium, Northwest
It
Stadium.
was so it's so funny you say that because um Janine is, better half. She is the in-game host. And
Right,
she texts me, I was in the press box. She texts me and said, "When was the last time we've done the wave?" She literally
right.
said the same thing. And that's when I started to say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna let Herb answer this, but I have a theory here on what's going on, something we've never experienced ourselves. But Herb, what do you think as far as the fan base?
First things first, I feel like they were just in hibernation. We we've been like Josh said, we've been beaten and battered for the last 20 some odd years. But even back to what Brandon said, as far as you look at how the Atlanta game was. I was down in New Orleans for the New Orleans game, and I'm telling you, like I couldn't hear myself talk, and it wasn't even the New Orleans fans that was chanting. It was us. When we was on defense, we were yelling out defense just as loud as New Orleans was when we came out there. And the fan base, like I said earlier, I never even thought that they left. And as far as the name change is concerned, as long as we win in championships or get into championship game, does it really matter?
That's right.
I'm a Wizards fan. I hate the name the Wizards.
We
Oh,
all
yeah.
do, but
But
rather
I
have
tell
to
you one
win,
thing.
and
I
then
tell
we'll
you
be
one
out there
thing.
Wizards all day.
If SAR gets us to a championship game, let's go Wizards.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Right.
I mean,
No,
it's winning solves everything. You
Yeah.
can sit here and
absolutely.
talk about how great the name is the history. Yes, we get that. We understand that. But I'm looking at from the standpoint of where I grew up watching Pittsburgh win every year. I grew up watching New England winning every year. I grew up watching the Giants win the what's the name, the Colts. I'm ready to see my team win. I could care less about the name at this point. I want to go ahead and talk junk to my coworkers, my neighbors, everybody to say, yeah, I'm and be proud to say I'm a Washington football fan. I'm a Commanders fan. I'm a Redskin fan. It doesn't matter.
So
I
so
don't think
none,
we've been out. We've just been asleep.
exactly. So none of you guys. I mean, I'm just, I you're not supposed to guess people's ages, but I take it no one's in their 30s in this group.
I'm 39.
Oh,
I'll be 40 in
Okay,
October.
two.
So okay,
Speed limit.
so her listen, yeah, I'm in a month. Uh yeah,
Stop.
yeah, in a
My
month.
dad told me
Yeah.
about when we won in '87. Doug Williams winning the
Amazing.
Super Bowl. The one thing that I always
Oh,
wanted
remember
that he said that I always want to experience. He went down to Georgetown and people were throwing oranges and bagels in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want my oranges and bagels. I'm not going out there like Philly did. You're not gonna get me turned up the entire
anything like that.
Give me, I'll buy some oranges and bagels. Hey guys, let's throw this around. At the most, we just pick it up and throw it in the trash afterwards. But I mean, it's just, I want to experience it because the last great team that I remember, and I can't even say it was in 05, it was the 99 team with Brad Johnson, Stephen Davis.
Yeah.
Ray Johnson and them. That was the best team that I've ever seen.
And I'm not even attempt.
Sorry, you only had that.
I remember that like it was literally like it was yesterday. Brian Mitchell got the kickoff return at the halftime. We looked like we was getting ready to go. I honestly thought that we were going to the NFC Championship.
I think most of us did. You know, I'll tell you though, this is something that I've always said. If you're like 35 or under, you don't know this franchise to be worth anything.
No.
So now for these young kids to experience this year what they did, I try to explain to them this was every year of our life when we were growing up. It was Super Bowl or bust every year. And if you they lost to the Bears in the divisional playoff game, it was like the worst feeling when they got blown out by the Raiders in the Super Bowl. I tell people
that hurt.
That's the last time. That's the last time.
I'm glad I wasn't
cried over a loss.
I'm glad I wasn't born for that.
Well,
I was born in 85.
Yeah. My father walked in my room that night, and literally, he was a Cowboys fan now. My father, well, he was from the South. It was either one or the other, but he was a Cowboys fan. He walked in my room and said to me, "I know you're not crying." And he was like, "I don't ever want to see you cry over some guys that are making all this money. And clearly they didn't care how they looked today. So why are you in here taking it to heart?" He said, "Make sure
like a Cowboy fan.
Time you cry." And I've taken that with me. So obviously being media, I've kind of had to relinquish my fan rights. But this year was, man, I got to tell you, and we shouldn't be saying it, but even up in our press box, the Bears Hail Mary, there was pandemonium in the press box.
I can imagine.
The Detroit game, there was pandemonium in the press box. So sometimes you can't help it, and when you know you're seeing something, and this is what I wanted to lead into with you guys. We and Herb, you're on the cusp of joining our group, the old head group soon. Okay? But I've been telling young folks this. You have something that I've never experienced. And they're like, "What are you talking about?" Well, let me tell you what it is. This franchise has a generational franchise player. When we were growing up and they were winning Super Bowls, they didn't really have a franchise player. They had really good players, some Hall of Famers, but they didn't have that one guy that everyone around the league was looking forward to seeing. John Riggins was running through people. We know that. Joe Theismann had a couple great years, but we're talking about drafted. John Riggins wasn't drafted by Washington. Joe Theismann wasn't drafted by Washington. We're talking about drafted rookie of the year. You see that right now, to me, he's top 5 quarterback. He's number 5. And I know some people are saying you got to put Jalen Hurts at 5. I got Jalen Hurts at 6. Okay. I just think Jaden's a better quarterback. Okay.
Tape don't lie.
Yeah, exactly. But it is what it is. Like, you have this generational talent, and Washington has something now that we didn't necessarily think was going to happen. What got us over the hump here was Joe Gibbs. We knew as long as Joe Gibbs was the coach, they were going to be in any game with a chance to get to a Super Bowl. Well, now you've got a quarterback. As long as he stays upright and doesn't get injured, Washington's a player for the next 10, 15 years
Yeah.
just because. And like we said earlier, this is the worst roster he'll ever be on.
Mhm.
Let's start with Brandon. Your thoughts on that? Having Jaden Daniels as quarterback changes everything.
I mean, the guy is phenomenal, and to see him ignite and take on so much so young.
Mhm.
But he's like an old man inside.
Old soul.
The old soul, the way he carries himself, but his amount of talent, his calm, cool. He's a cool pickle, man. I've never seen anybody so calm under pressure, and he takes everything that the coaches give him. I mean, it's just a testament to what Dan Quinn and the coaching staff believe in him to give a young QB that so much. I mean, look what happened to Caleb Williams. I mean,
Yeah.
he had way more talent than we did,
Mhm.
and look what happened there. And then what you're saying, to have a player that impact, we haven't had. I mean, what we won 3 Super Bowls. We won them with 3 different QBs. We never had like a
That's
longevity
called coach.
QB.
That's called the coach.
That's called the coach. Exactly.
That's called Joe Gibbs. Yeah,
And the hogs, baby.
absolutely.
And the last time I saw that,
Bobby
like
Beathard.
yeah, exactly. And he's Adam Peters is like the Bobby Beathard, of this time. So
So we hope.
look, the kid blows me away. I never doubt. Like when I was at the Philly game when we came back and won, there were so many Philly fans at that game, and there was a lot of trash talking. But the whole time I was like, oh. We're down by this. No, we got JD5. That's what people say. Well, we got JD5. We're okay.
People always throw at us though. Oh, well, I had a couple when I was in Philly for the NFC Championship
Sure.
game. Oh, you only won because Jalen Hurts got hurt, and I'm like,
That's what I had to hear.
That
You
number
gonna
one
play
ranked
defense.
defense.
You know what we call that? That's part of the game.
Yeah,
Slide.
that number one ranked defense, and then besides that, Kenny Pickett the next week
Slide.
lit up the Giants.
Exactly.
So yeah, man, it was. Brad, let's get your take on this. Do you see like now because of Jaden that this team has a legit chance before it's all said and done in the next 15 years, if this guy plays that long, to walk away with at least 2, 3 Super Bowls?
Absolutely. Herb, you said your age. We remember watching the counter trade, brother, and RFK Stadium.
And the Rock, I got all the footage of American Game. I've studied that film. Like it was
Just
like,
you said the footage made me feel old.
Yeah. Those uniforms.
But to your point, though, like you said, I can't remember the last time when our team took the field and we had one of the 3 best players on the field. We were always teaming. Even during the Snyder time, we never had like the top.
You might have to go Sean Taylor. You might have to go Sean
Taylor.
Sean Taylor and Trent Williams. That's about it.
yeah.
Sean Taylor.
28.
Right? Yeah. But and so I actually think with JD, if we get Jay some talent and we keep him up and build those trenches and get Terry another weapon and solidify another corner and add those pieces in there, because the fans around the league that I talk to, they scared of JD5.
Oh,
they are.
Yeah.
They really are.
They
They
are.
know it's coming.
They are.
They know it's coming.
And Philly can talk to smack right now. They're on the top, but they looking in the rearview mirror. They are. They definitely are.
Well, they've literally said that. Like
Mhm.
that's the thing. Like AJ Brown literally has said that.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Get some more things there, and they're right there with us. And I told you what those fans said to me up in Philly. They were like, "Man, we're this looks like this might be a thing. This NFC Championship game might be." It might be a sequel, and I've already predicted this year, 2025, is going to be a sequel to that game.
I agree.
Yeah, I truly believe that Washington will close the gap that much closer. Now, will they win? We'll find out. But the point is that the cap money, the free agency, the eyes in the building now that know what they're doing. This is a destination now because of number 5. Josh, let's get to you, and then Herb, we will get over to you as well. But Josh, what do you think about JD5 and him changing the fortunes of the franchise?
We said the number one word just now, destination. I mean, who doesn't want to come play for us now? When was the last time we could say? I can't think in my lifetime when I could say that. They all want to come play with
out of here.
Yeah. And a few key pieces. I know there's the big who are we going to get at Washington. I don't think we're going to pay a lot for a wide receiver. I don't.
They're not. I can assure you that too. They're not.
Yeah, I really don't think so. I think we're going to pay maybe somebody on the edge, but we're going to shore up that O-line. We're going to protect that kid because we've shown what he can do with the weapons they had this last season. I mean, if we get another wide receiver, but what we've already got, we just need somebody running that ball north and south.
Well, let me say this real quick, Josh, before we go to Herb.
Yeah.
There was only one weapon. They had accessories. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
And I'm just being honest. So I always say, don't say Jaden had weapons. He had one weapon. He had one weapon
17.
on that field. Now
the Swiss Army knife, and the rest of it was just like, hey, I'm picking up a stick.
So that's what I'm saying. He was hitting people with slingshots, and now you go out and get him some real arsenal, real weapons, and you'll see his game even go to another level. And this is what I keep trying to tell people.
So man, in New England,
if you go back to any of the previous 5 quarterbacks that played for Washington, any of them, and you put them in this year's team, this team's not going to the playoffs. No, this team is going to look like exactly what we thought. No skill set guys and a shoddy offensive line. But when you have a guy that is that good, he made the offensive line look better. He made the receivers look better. He made the running backs look better because some people wondered if he was going to take off. So I know I went off there, but let's get back to her. Jay Daniels' fortunes. What do you think?
I mean, he not only changed the franchise, I mean, he changed the whole entire city. I mean, you look at it, it's from the standpoint of where it's like, hey, this guy is able to just drop back and make is he going to scramble like RG3 does? No, he can read a defense. And when you have Hall of Famers, all pros, Pro Bowlers coming out there saying he has Brady-esque reading ability of the defense.
Yeah.
And by the way, he can still run. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's like, no, this isn't just some one trick pony. Like I can read one read and go off and then just do whatever I do. No, you look at all the games that he had this year. He didn't run that much. He only ran when it was like, oh snap, it's about to break down. I have to make a play. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and I don't know what other play you could say other than that one game against Philly where he ran for 20 yards on 4th and 11.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, it was 30 yards. Yeah. I mean, and he ran through the number 1 rated defense because he couldn't find anybody out there to go ahead that was all covered. Yep. And now they have to go ahead and scramble to go ahead and get him. And he's already like 5 yards away from the end zone.
Yeah, the design runs by Kingsbury, if you notice towards the end of the year, were almost non-existent.
Yeah. He wasn't having those like the play in Arizona where he was they did like a quarterback sweep to get the touchdown. It was like, hey, the play's breaking down. I got to make a play.
Yep. Yeah. And that's because he started everything slowed down by like week 8. You could see, and I asked him actually after one practice, do you see the game now as it's slowing down? And he said it really is. Like, and the thing about Jaden that, I always tell people, everything you guys are saying that you see about him in the game, being calm, cool, and mature beyond his years, let me tell you guys, he's even more like that in the locker room at practice during the week. Like, I've never seen a young kid, like, he lied to me once. I mean, I'm calling him out now because Trent Scott and so it's Trent Scott and D tackle. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Leave him going. Sheldon Day. Yes. Sheldon Day and Trent Scott have the 2 best playlists in the locker room. Like, when I'm telling you their playlist is like Luther Vandross and the Police. It's like some old stuff. Like, what do you know about this? So one day Luther was playing and Trent Scott's always, yeah, that's me. So I told I looked at Jaden, and Jaden was over there, doing this. And I said, "What you know about that?" He said, "I got all this on my playlist." No, you don't. I said, "No, you don't." He said, "No, I got all this stuff on my playlist." And Trent was like, "Yeah, he does." I'm telling you, that tells me a lot about a person right there, that he can listen to stuff his parents were listening to and appreciate it. And
Mm.
it's just like you said, he's an old soul. Like everything that you guys are saying, I see it every day in the locker room, and it's as advertised. I do want to do this over because unfortunately, we were having a little issue with the recording. I want to go back and do this thing over because you guys are in different parts of the country, and I want to get your take on the team where you are if Washington is past them. And I know Brandon came in and he did get it in there as far as the Rams, but Reggie, you're in North Carolina.
Yep.
Um, um, is it safe to say Washington surpassed the Panthers down there?
Nobody talks about the Panthers, first of all, but there's so many transplants from the Northeast where I live, Giants, Philly, and of course, there's always a couple of Cal Turd fans that's pop their heads up. But yeah, we other than Philly, we're there.
Okay.
People are wearing the jerseys, people are wearing the colors. I mean, I got more Commanders and Washington football or Redskins gear than the average person, but I'm trying to tamp it down to just be
Ah,
here. But
Nice.
yes,
Okay. All
short
right.
answer, yes.
Brad in Detroit. What do you think? Do you think they surpassed the Lions?
I do. Detroit has a complete team. They got the receivers, they got the two running backs, they got the O line, but their quarterback is not JD5.
nope.
And what he did with less, can you
Mhm.
imagine if he had them weapons? So absolutely. Yes, I think we passed.
That's
Yes.
and see, this is why I love you having you guys on because you're not just like fans that don't see the real picture. You see the reality of this. And to what Brandon was saying with the Rams, it's maybe on offense but not defense, and then Brad saying it with Detroit, and Josh will ask you in a second here about Minnesota. I always say this: all you have to do is plug and play. If you put Jared Goff on Washington and Jared on Detroit, Philly's not winning that Super Bowl. I'm just saying, if you put if you put Matt Stafford on Washington, I still think they'll be competitive. But if you put, Jaden on the Rams, woo, I mean, maybe they beat Philadelphia in that playoff game. Um, we need not talk about Bryce. I'm a Bryce Young fan, and I like what he's doing in Carolina. But clearly, if you put Jaden on that team, they're ascending. So let's go to Josh here, Minnesota. Do you say the same thing? Has Washington surpassed them?
I do because I don't think that Darnold's going to be there next year. I think that their quarterback situation is tough, and that's what everybody's focusing on. They do have a couple key pieces like Jettas and Hawkinson and a couple guys on D, but no, we passed them. Yeah,
Okay. All right. And then Herb, I mean, you're obviously in the area, so
I'm just gonna go out here and say it. Yeah, I think we're better than Baltimore right now. All jokes aside, though, seriously, I think as far as Baltimore is the only team that where I honestly feel like we're like even in the area. I think they're a championship caliber team. They just happen to go against the MVP this year. And I think and the fact that we keep saying throughout this whole entire episode, we're in the base model of this team right now. Just imagine if we get the bells and whistles. Yeah, with this ascending quarterback, he's a leader of the team that's just making everybody better. And his aura is basically what was getting people to believe. And it's just like, oh, okay. You look at the Atlanta game. That game was like, oh my God, this guy he's potentially the face of the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we have a chance to actually see this team be one of the best in the league next year. And this is not a home.
It's crazy to say that, guys, because I remember 2012. I remember Robert and I still don't forgive him because I tore my Achilles hooping with him. And funny joke, when he was there at the game this year, what game was it that He was there twice. One game he came out, he was talking on the field with Janine, but it was another game he was there and he was going up to the press box and I saw him. He was with his kids, and I just whispered in his ear playfully. He leaned in and I said, "The Achilles is healed." And he said, "I should have popped the other one."
Damn.
I mean, I go back to 2012 and say that that was the last time until this year where the fan base really felt some hope until he got injured. And then the life got sucked out of that. Um, but I will even say this. You knew when you watched Robert his rookie year, you knew he was dynamic athlete, whatever, but you saw the deficiencies as far as reading the defenses. You saw that.
Off the field. Yeah.
I've watched tape of Jaden so much since the NFC Championship game just to go back and look at things and see how each game he matured.
Mhm.
I don't see a hole in his game. I don't see a flaw in his game. His flaw was lack of time at times to throw the football. His flaw was receivers dropping the football. His
Yeah.
flaw was the things that are getting ready to get fixed and prepped and be better. But as far as him individually, we clearly have in the building a top five talent in the NFL. And I don't mean quarterback, I mean talent. The only reason I don't put him above Lamar has 2 MVPs to his name. Patrick Mahomes, what can you say? I mean, MVPs, Super Bowls. Josh Allen now has an MVP next to his name. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has a Super Bowl appearance. But I got to tell you, he's coming up on those guys real fast. And if they were to get to the Super Bowl next year, somebody on that island gets bumped down, in my opinion, and he moves up. Brad, what are you gonna say there?
Just a quick question, Herb, and to your point about Lamar. I love Lamar, right? I think he's
I love
dynamic.
Lamar. Favorite player
He's the
outside
only
of
Baltimore Raven I like.
yeah.
But Lamar just can't win that big one. He, for some reason, he cannot win that big one. And JD, to me, coming here, and like even on this podcast I had with Lake and Josh, that crowd was crazy.
Yeah.
And for Jaden rather, to stay calm under pressure like that. I mean, even Tom Brady, as a matter of fact, I've watched it on YouTube, that game like 3 times in the past 2 weeks because I'm loving football. There's nothing else to watch right now, right? And there was a section on there when he's sitting on the bench, and Tom Brady and I forget the other announcer said, "Wait a minute, does this kid have a heartbeat?"
A heartbeat. Yeah.
He was just sitting there,
Terminator.
just sitting there calm, like nothing phases
He's
me.
not the reason. There's clearly no way any Commanders fan could say Jaden didn't play well or he could have played better.
Right.
I mean, he wasn't the reason why they lost that football game. And in fact, I've always said this. If he is the best player on the field on that Sunday, they're winning the football game. If he's the second best player on the field, they have an opportunity to win the football game. I think in that game against Philadelphia, because how poor the defense played at times, I'm going to come out and say Jaden was the third best player on the field in that NFC Championship game by default. It was because he didn't have any help. But for me, Saquon was the best player on the field.
Absolutely.
And then you can pick between actually Jalen Hurts played pretty well. And of course, AJ played his tail off too. So to me, you could just see it was stacked up against him. Terry McLaurin, to me, was probably the fifth best player on the field that game. He played well. They just couldn't do a whole lot with him because the other guys were putting the ball on the ground. So
Can't even give him an interception at the end too, because I
that
mean
doesn't even count.
that was a 50-50 loss. I mean,
it didn't even count to me. It wasn't like, oh my God, where was he throwing? Exactly. So this is my next thing, and so we'll shorten up our answers here. I've had you guys on for an hour, and I appreciate it. Let me know if you have to go though, because we can do this for another 15. If you okay,
I'm good.
15, we good? Perfect. Okay. All right. So my question is, we talked about the offseason things that need to happen, to shore up the trenches. I think first and foremost, before you even think about skill set, guys, you have to get the trenches tighter. And you have to now, maybe the urgency wasn't as great on the offensive line because you had some guys play well, but now with Cosme being hurt, and I'm telling you guys, I know for a fact he's going to be on the PUP list. You guys know that. So he's not going to be available right away. you almost have to look at what you can do now. I'm saying Trent Scott, I thought he played well in the playoffs after
Yeah.
Sam got hurt. Have him be your starting right guard for right now. Okay. Maybe you move Brandon Coleman inside to left guard and you draft a tackle or you go out and you get a free agent tackle. And then I think that kind of solidifies some things. I think Cornelius Lucas played well enough to be your starting right tackle, and maybe Wiley is the backup. Okay. And I think you can get away with that. But clearly, you guys know if they're going to take this next step, and every team that you guys mentioned had a quarterback that played well this year, but Washington wasn't getting to those guys. You're gonna have to get some edge rushers. Dante Fowler Jr. had a good year. Dorrance Armstrong had a good year, but neither one of those guys are having offensive coordinators, stay up at night. They're just not. Okay. They got to the quarterback this year on sheer will and effort, but now you need a guy that has technique, sheer will, and effort to go along with it. And I'm telling you guys this, I'm going to say it and I'm going to let you guys have the floor. The grumblings that I'm hearing is, and I don't just throw stuff out there, is that they're in play for both Garrett and Max Crosby. So will indeed.
Said that.
Whoa.
That's
Said that in the last pod too. With like,
Yeah, you said that before. Yeah.
game changer.
Well, you know,
So
Miles.
and
Okay,
people
so-
keep saying they don't have enough draft capital. They don't have enough to
No,
pull
of
it
course
off.
they do.
That's not true. Of course they do. And I'm going to tell you how you get it done. If you guys watch the tape and you've gone back and looked at the games, tell me Johnny Newton and John Allen did not look good together. They played well paired together.
Sure.
So that to
Yeah.
me, that makes the most expensive D tackle, Deron Payne.
Duran.
I'm putting him in a trade package. I just am. I'm putting him in a trade package. So what I would do is I'm calling Cleveland and I'm saying to Cleveland, I'll give you our 29th pick this year, and I will give you a third rounder this year. And if you need me to throw a fifth in for next year, I'll do that for Myles Garrett. They're not going to say no. Trust me, when at that hole they need 3 first rounders, no one's doing that. Okay. So I'm going to pose this to you guys, 2 scenarios to get those 2 players, and you tell me if you'll do it. If Cleveland says no, we want your first this year and your first next year, and Miles is yours, do you do it? Josh, you're on the clock. Do you do it?
Yeah, the window's open for us right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we're doing that.
Good quick answer. All right. Herb, do you do it?
I'll pack Myles Garrett's bags myself. I'll do it right now.
All right. All right. Brandon, do you do it?
Yeah, we know what the mountain is. It's the Eagles. We have to build a team to beat that team. Yes, do
All
it.
right. Brad?
I don't do it. And the reason I say no is because we got too many holes on that team, and Eagles are a complete team.
Yeah.
So that's a lot. 2 first-round picks.
Okay.
I say no.
All right. And then Reggie, what do you do?
I say absolutely yes. And to Brad's point, if I got my second and my thirds and my fifths, we got a lot of holes to fill, but AP can work some magic. So I would do it for
All right.
Garrett. Yes.
And this is what I'm going to tell you. Not only do I do it, the reason why I think you do it to get Myles Garrett, who's going to be turning 30, he's not old, is this reason. When you expect to be good, those picks are going to be late in the draft.
Exactly.
Round. So they're expendable picks. And I say that because how did it work out with the previous 4 first-round draft picks that were a lot? 29. How did that work out?
Shots fired.
So all I'm saying is you're not guaranteed at 29 you're getting a dog. You would think that Adam Peters and Cunningham are going to do their homework, and yes, they're going to hit on the pick. But the only thing that's guaranteed in the whole equation is that Myles Garrett is an absolute dog, and you would be getting that. Okay. So now, after you've gone through that scenario, let's just say you parted with those 2 first rounders. I'm coming back now and I'm reaching out to Vegas and I'm saying Deron Payne and next year's second. Can we do it?
Wow,
Josh, are you doing it?
that's a tough one. I'm not Adam Peters, and I'm with you on draft picks. They're expendable. It's such a gamble. I'm still doing it because he's generational too. That guy is a beast. Can you imagine that line?
Okay.
Oh my
So keep in
God.
mind, so keep in mind, you already have Garrett now.
Right.
And you can get Crosby by giving up Deron Payne, who we just said the two tackles they had that played better was
Yep.
Allen, and Allen came back. And I just think, you guys know I've been critical of John at times, but I think his temperament is more suited for this group than
Agreed.
Deron. Deron's more laid back, and they don't. That's what got Jahan up out of here. They want attitude. They want Marshawn Lattimore. That's what they want. They want that type of player, and that's John Allen. So
Yeah.
again, Herb, do you do it? Do you do a second and Duran for to get Max Crosby?
Big Herb's moving service will be in full effect. If you can get Max Crosby and Mac and Miles Garrett, I hate moving. I will help you move if I have to.
Okay, all right, okay. So Reggie, what you got?
Yes, in a heartbeat. I mean, you imagine those two on the outside. I mean, you don't need super stellar cornerbacks when you got four horsemen going at the cornerback.
Absolutely.
You don't have to blitz.
You don't. You can
It's
rush
like Philly.
forward, like Philly.
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon, what do you think?
You got B-Wags in the middle, Frankie Louvu, Crosby, and Garrett. Come on, man. That's a dog team. I mean, that's a dog team, man.
All right, Brad. I know you want them picks, but
yeah, I think we would have to do that one. I think I'm gonna do that. With the corners, with Marshawn healthy, get back and my boy Mikey back there. I think you're right. If you putting pressure on a quarterback, you don't really need top notch corners, but them guys are good. I think I'm gonna do that one. I'm gonna do that.
See, I think you're gonna get top notch cornerback play next year because I think Mikey had a great rookie year, but he's more suited to be in the slot, and I think that's exactly where he's going to be. And nickel guy, he could even on nickel coverage, he could move back out to the outside, but he's going to start in the slot. And I think Marshawn's going to be that Pro Bowl corner that we all know he is. But you have to think he was playing on one leg. You could clearly see he wasn't fully healthy. Just the fact that he made it to the NFC Championship game was a testament to his toughness. And then on top of that, and I keep telling people this too, you can't tell me with a straight face that AJ Brown did not know that he had a dog covering him because they were going at it. Did AJ Brown give that kind of attention to Kansas City?
No.
Super Bowl? No. Trust me, game recognized game. He knows that.
His comments. He just made some comments recently about Marshawn. He said Marshawn is the type of guy to try to bully you. He tried to get in your head. By him saying that, already proved Marshawn in his head.
Is in his head. Thank you.
That's what I'm saying. There's a reason why Mike Evans is pissed off every time he plays him.
That's right.
So again, you for people saying that it was a terrible trade and he's a bust, I'm like, what are you watching?
I know. I've heard that.
He played well under the circumstances. And anytime you ask any corner in the league, I don't care if it's Marshawn, I don't care if it's Stingley, I don't care who it is, I don't care if it's the kid in Denver. If you ask them to cover these elite receivers for 3 to 4 seconds because there's no pass rush being generated, they're going to pick you apart. So now, as we said, get us those two tackles. I mean, those two defensive edge rushers to go along with the tackles that you have already. I mean, listen, you can't tell me it would be an absolute war playing the East.
Can you imagine that?
Listen, it's a possibility. So I know this week in Indianapolis, I'm just gonna flat out ask Adam. I flat out am. I'm just gonna flat out ask him. Are both of these guys in play? Because I know they are, but I want to hear him say it for everybody out there. Because one thing about Adam Peters is he's not going to do anything silly. Like he's not going to just because they have this cap money, they're not going to spend every penny just because it's there. He's going to be smart. He's going to be calculated about how he's doing this. But I also know that these guys know in the building I've talked to some coaches. They know they were right there. They were right there.
Thoughts are in the
And
room.
and right there with as Herb's been saying all day with a base model.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
they were right there. Now you just know that window isn't guaranteed for any team.
Mm-mm.
Detroit's window is
Yeah.
closing. Washington, I say right now, they haven't even pushed it all the way up yet.
Right.
So
We even got the convertible yet.
exactly. It's so nice to finally be able to talk about this team in the off season,
Yeah.
and it's not a bunch of you just wish you had one
Yeah.
of those guys over there. Like you see Lamar up the road, and you're like, man, why can't we have something like that? Why,
It
you
started
know?
with Marshawn. It started with 23.
Yeah.
I
We
think
go
it
down.
started with
And
18,
so
man.
now to have one of those guys that now the other fans and other teams are looking at and saying, damn, man, we need one of those. You don't think in Chicago, I have a neighbor in my neighborhood. His name's Brad. Ironically, he's a good dude, man. And he's from Chicago, him and his wife. And before the season started, he was just like, super excited about the Bears and Caleb. And he said, who do you think is better, really, Caleb or Jaden? And I said, I think for the systems they're in, I think they're both where they need to be. I said, but I'm going to tell you right now, Caleb likes to do off schedule stuff all the time. And that's going to kill him. And he's going to have to not do that because he's got the weapons. Just take 5 yards here, take what's given to you. Well, by the halfway mark, he literally said to me, I promise you guys this. He said to me, he said, do you think we're having buyer's remorse?
I told a coworker who's a Chicago Bears fan. I said, I believe Jaden Daniels' play is in Caleb's head. I always
That's all
thought
it
it
was.
was in Caleb's head. It was Caleb he lived up to that hype the next Mahomes coming out, college and all of that. And I really believe the media attention, how great Jaden played, I believe that was in Caleb's head.
Well,
I just
Jaden's rookie of the year season was supposed to be Caleb.
Yep.
I mean,
absolutely, absolutely.
everything. Take the team to the playoffs, to the
Mhm.
NFC champion. Everything he did was supposed to be Caleb. And to make matters worse, Caleb beat him on that Hail Mary. I mean, that was just
I know
you
he was
talking
going
about
to.
ripping and reaching in somebody's chest and taking their heart out. That play crushed the Bears. Their season was done after that.
Over.
Uh,
Done.
Just look
And
at the
poorly.
guy who did who recorded his reaction, where he just had that blank stare for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That was a
Listen, man, I gotta tell you, this year for me on a personal level was just it was incredible, man. It was my 15th season, and I saw, obviously been there for all the playoff games, but you knew they were one and done. I do think that the 2012 team, had they played Cousins when Robert was showing signs of being injured, they would have moved on in that season. And I thought they were good enough to get to the Super Bowl. I think they would have ended up playing Atlanta that year to get to the Super Bowl had they won that game. But there was a whole bunch of coulda, woulda, shouldas. This was the first year where you just saw right in front of you. You saw the culture that had changed. You saw guys playing for the man to their left, man to their right.
Yeah.
The coach speak to us in the media, especially I was just amazed with Dan Quinn when he spoke to you. He spoke to you by your name. He looked at you. He wasn't trying to come across as the smartest man in the room the way he spoke to you. And I've had way too many of those over the years. So this was like the first time in a long time where you could just see a true professional outfit right in front of you. What were you gonna say, Herb?
because I noticed what you're saying because I met Miss Candy Waller in New Orleans.
That's my
Like
girl.
he
That's my
calls
big
you
girl.
guys by name, and the
Yes.
fact that like he like that just because I mean, and you look at how it was back in the day when damn back in the day now Shanahan he'd just be going up there like yeah you I know more than what you guys know that just follow my lead. He looks like an actual guy that you want to have a beer with.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
he gives that vibe about like, hey man, like we going to the bar. Yeah, meet me up there, man.
Yeah. We're gonna have a beer.
Well, you
Yeah.
want to know how you knew Dan Quinn was the perfect fit? Because he didn't outthink himself. He saw what my eyes saw, and he's the coach. I'm
Mm.
just a media guy. But you guys go back to the first day of rookie minicamp, and what I put out was I don't know what I just saw with my own eyes, but what I just saw, I've never seen in burgundy and gold,
There you
and that
go.
was Jaden Daniels.
Yep.
Yep.
Dan Quinn, first thing we asked him about Jaden, and he said, man, these are his exact words. He's a dog ass competitor, right? Those were his exact words. And he said it over and over like, we knew. I told you guys a long time ago. You knew he was the starter from day
Yeah.
one. You knew that. But the
Yeah.
fact that Jaden was even saying, "I know I'm just a rookie. I'm not franchise player. I'm just one of the guys." He wanted to earn it and show that he belonged. But you could see from day one that that guy was just better than anybody on the field. He was doing whatever he wanted to do to anybody on that field, and those coaches and Dan Quinn especially let him do it. Jaden never had training wheels on this year, ever. Like you look at these other quarterbacks, Caleb and Bo Nix, and great years, but you could clearly see that they were reined in and they couldn't do certain things because they probably weren't capable of it. Jaden never had training wheels on. Jaden was literally on a 12 speed the whole time. And that
Mm.
tells you something about the coach who's not trying to make it about himself and I'm smarter than you and you're going to do it my way. No, man, they altered a lot for Jaden, and that's
Yeah.
why this team was so successful. So I
That's
kept
why
you
I think
guys.
the future, not to cut you, sorry,
No, no,
you
no.
got it.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's why I think the future is great, right? We got an owner who gets out of the way, right? We got a
Yep.
competent GM. We got a head coach who was transparent when he said he deconstructed himself and what he learned in Atlanta.
Yeah.
We got a humble superstar. Jaden will say he wants everybody to win. And when he was mic'd up against Atlanta, how he was just giving love to all the other guys and stuff like that. That's why the future is bright to me. Because
Yeah.
It's real.
realistically, for me, I didn't even think we would be this good this year. But I just felt like we were headed in the right direction. Owner, coach, GM, quarterback. But now that we won, and see where we are, man, I'm excited. I was excited anyway, even when I knew we were going to be 4-12, 3-13.
Same.
But now, man,
By the
I
way,
told you guys,
we
I
gotta give
told
a
you they were
shout
going
out.
to
I
win
wish
11
I could
games.
take my camera and y'all can see I just remodeled my basement and I got washed and stuff all over the basement, man. I'm excited, brother.
By the way, we gotta give Lake his credit, his flowers on this one because I watch Rio and you all the time.
Yeah.
You called this out before the season started,
Yes, he
saying,
did.
"Yeah, we're gonna win 11 games."
Yes,
Ain't
he
gonna
did.
lie, I looked at you crazy, like the hell you talking about?
Man, I
Yeah.
had
I
people
see 8 wins.
stopping me at
I
the
can
grocery
see
store,
7
man. You
wins.
stupid.
I looked at it like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no,
I
I
gotta admit, I
gotta give
kind of was
I
like
give
that
credit
too.
when it's due. I give credit
You
when it's
know,
due.
you guys know why I said they were going to win 11, up to 11 games?
Mm-hmm.
It was because of what I saw at quarterback. I
Man,
knew that they finally had an it. They had one of those. And when you
Exactly.
have that position covered, the most important position in all of sports, when you have that position covered, you're going to be good. But when you have it covered and you have an elite one, man, it changes everything. So there was a little bit of luck involved in this as well.
Yeah.
It was just like lightning struck, out in Ashburn, and they got this monster. They got a young kid that checks every box as far as the type of person you want leading your franchise, the type of person you want representing your city, the type of person you want on the field, who
Mhm.
puts fear in opposing defenses. Everybody they play knows about that guy. You go back to the Cleveland game, Myles Garrett didn't even have a stat in that football game.
He
No.
did.
No.
You go back to the Eagles game when they came back and he had the 5 touchdown passes. Uh, so what? Jalen Hurts was hurt. The Eagles defense was ranked number one, and look at what that defense did to Kansas City trying to three-peat. Uh,
Yeah.
Jaden had his way with them in every game. You go back to the first game, that Thursday night game, he had the rib injury. They still were up 10-6 in the fourth quarter at one
Yeah.
point. So I say all these things because there are going to be some people that are going to watch this podcast who aren't Commanders fans, and they're going to say, you already pushing the Kool-Aid out. And I'm like, no, I'm not pushing anything out. Your eyes saw it with your
Facts.
own eyes. This football team, I'm telling you guys, they're on a collision course with the Eagles. And I think the best thing that could have happened to Washington was the fact that they lost to the Eagles in that championship game
Yeah.
and the way they lost. Because
Yes.
now you know what you have to do. You
Yes.
cannot compete against the Eagles if you can't compete in the trenches. You can't. So
Nope.
now that they know that they have that, and one of you guys said it earlier, and I've been saying it for a long time. I like B Rob. I think he's a really good pro running back, but he's not a home run threat. In this offense
Yeah.
with Jaden, they need a home run threat running back, and it'll change everything.
Yep.
I'm just gonna say this real quick, and I mean, I know I'm the youngest guy in here. If you know, you know, for the people who's watching, this them losing like that, the first thing that they thought about was if you go ahead and listen to this song by Amigos called Deads. I'm not gonna say what the first couple words are in the song, but if you know, you know, and that's the same look that I'm giving Philly fans every single time I see them this whole time. Yeah, you guys got your Super Bowl, but just know,
I know.
Siri played Deads.
Oh, they know, and they told me at the game that they really aren't looking forward to this, but they know that that's the team out of every team in the NFC. They didn't mention Detroit. They didn't mention San Fran. I know San Fran, I think, will be back better next year, but it's Washington. And again, if you can't see that with the team that went to the NFC Championship game, winning 12 games, base model, I'm stealing that from you, Herb, from now on. Base model, now that they're going to have some of the luck stuff coming up, it's just going to be so much better. So, guys, look, man, I've had you on for an hour and a half here. Greatly
Shout out to you,
appreciate
Lake.
this.
Shout out to you,
Thank-
man.
Yeah.
Shout
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Lake.
So
As
much.
Thank you, Lake.
a
Nah,
Washington
man.
fan who lives in Detroit and don't have nobody to talk to about my team, I can do this for hours, man.
With you.
Same.
I mean, look, man, I'm trying to make this a thing, like, and it's picked up. A lot of people have reached out, say they want to come on, or you want to come back on, like you gentlemen. And my thing is, yeah, anytime, man, but I'm gonna start doing this on Fridays. And if you want to come back on, I'll book you in right now to make sure to
Yeah.
continue the
Yeah.
link for next week. We'll
Mhm.
do it.
Hell
We'll
yeah.
have more people. It'll
Do it.
keep building up. But the thing I like about this is that, you guys are repping the team from all parts of the country. That's you can't beat that. Reggie just left. He's in North Carolina, so listen, man, this thing is going to keep building up. And for once, you're going to have to share your fandom with national kids that are going to grow up wanting to be
Oh,
Jaden Daniel fans, and they're going to be kids in Oregon or kids in Texas that are going to be Jaden Daniels fans. And
Mhm.
it's hard to see a team that's downtrodden for so long come up so fast and everybody wanted to be part of it. But you know what? That's called success. Everybody wants to be part of a winner. And I think we have to get used to that now.
Success is certain now.
you got good.
And,
Big
and
time.
and
Yeah.
and the thing about it is you have an adult running the show. This
Thank
isn't some
Thank you.
Bruce Allen. Oh, we're winning off the field. No,
Jeez.
stop it. You have an adult in the room. Is one thing that I used to joke about all the time with one of my closest friends. I would say if I was a GM of the team back when Snyder was, I'd be like, when I see Snyder walk through that door, I'll be, hey, hold on a second, man. Let's go ahead and get a coffee, and then be like, look at the scouts, pick him up. Like it's just at this point, like adults need to be in the room. We
Yeah.
finally have it.
Well,
Yes.
Success is certain.
In the room.
I'll tell you this, Herb. Had you gone to Snyder to speak to him, he wouldn't have spoke back to you. Been there,
I
done
keep
that.
hearing that.
I'm
I hear
look
that
at.
a lot.
I'm not scared of a peasant like him. I'm
Oh
not.
no, it's not. He
I heard
just would. When I tell you,
It was facts though. Like,
there was a
lot of-
preseason game in Baltimore years ago, and it was the preseason game where Baltimore came back and won it, and it was the third game, so it was the dress rehearsal game. And it was heated in that stadium. I mean, it was like a regular season game.
Mhm.
And one of the young guys on the team that I was really close with at the time was Terrence Austin, wide receiver.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
And Terrence from out your way, Brandon, went to UCLA.
Yeah. I
But
remember.
Terrence, after the game, I'm standing in the tunnel. It's myself, and over to my left was Bruce Allen, Larry Michael, and Dan Snyder. And I wasn't really talking to him. I mean, I can tell you that right now. But the point is, they were within arm's distance from me, literally. And Larry spoke, Bruce nodded, and Dan looked over, and I said, "Hey," and he literally looked at me, and he just looked away. And Bruce said he spoke to you. Dan Snyder literally said, "And?"
Wow.
And
So
that,
I just,
Get our breath on that guy anymore.
yeah.
You know,
I mean,
I'm not gonna say what I was about to say. No,
Good
no,
riddance.
I'm not.
I literally said to myself, I either can, pull my DC card out, being from DC, or I can, ruin my career.
Professional.
Yeah, so I said, okay, I'm good. I'm good. But
The word of the day, ladies and gentlemen, is karma.
You got that right.
or
yeah.
or the best phrase is
And
success is the best revenge.
And
That's
you
right.
know, the first time I met Josh Harris, like I love being able to say these things to people because it's like it's real stuff. First time I met Josh Harris was last year, not this past year, but the year before.
Mhm.
It was me walking from downstairs in the stadium to go back up. I see someone. I was going back up the steps to go into the press box, and Josh Harris is coming by himself, like he's by himself, like just crowd.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey, I'm Lake Lewis, blah, 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 media." And he said, "Hey, nice to meet you. Good to finally meet you," and blah, blah, blah. And he said, we'll all be talking soon. And then he walked off. But he had no entourage. He had no
He's
security, none of
approachable.
that
Yeah.
stuff. Now you might see he has a security dude that's always with him now. It's like 6'9". You're not messing with him. But
Yeah.
the point is, he's so unassuming. Like, you can tell he has his beer at the game. He's
Mhm.
just a guy that's staying
Yeah.
out of the way. He's letting
Yeah.
the football guys run his franchise. And, I'm going to say this. Hopefully, it doesn't get me in trouble. But there is a time where I foresee him probably selling the Sixers. I say that
Yeah.
because Washington
Home.
that's the cash cow to
Oh,
me.
Yeah.
of course.
NFL
And-
prints their own money. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and don't get me wrong. I mean, yeah, you own the Sixers and everything, and plus on top of that, I think
Fans up there not feeling
Philly
that
ain't
vibe.
really
Had to
rocking
have.
with them right now.
Yeah,
Anyway,
they're not feeling that
Yeah.
duel, like man.
you can't be a Sixers owner and a Commander. No.
Yeah, but
Nah,
I just think Washington is because of it's the NFL.
yeah.
I think because
I
now
think-
that they have that centerpiece in Jaden, it would not surprise me if I'm not saying it's happening now, but it wouldn't surprise me at some point if the Sixers go up for sale. I really
Yeah.
felt that could be a thing.
Would you all agree that Washington winning again is good for the NFL?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
100%, man.
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
This is not Homer talk speaking. This is actually like, hey, you have a guy that if you looked early in the year, Jaden was the face of the NFL on Twitter. They're not just gonna put any old person up there.
No.
You have an exciting and it's not a flash in the pan player. This is a generational talent.
Yep.
And the fact that, like said earlier, we have something that hasn't been done here. Period.
Like,
and his name, you can say Daryl Green, Sean Taylor, amazing talent.
They weren't quarterbacks.
They're not quarterbacks. Yeah, exactly. they're amazing talents, but they aren't quarterback. This is like Alex Ovechkin when he got picked up by the Capitals. We knew like, oh, this dude's legit.
Yep.
And, yeah.
Yep.
This is real talk, man.
Good? Doesn't it feel good when we watch NFL Network and we hear about the nonsense of Jerry Jones and the Jaguars and all these owners who doing something? Don't it feel good to finally say that ain't us no more?
And let me tell you, it feels incredible to be like, I have people calling me now from colleagues on other networks or whatever, and they're asking, can I come on? I've already had 3 people ask me, can I do something with them at the combine? And years past, they didn't want the stench of Washington around them. No way. Now it's like, I had a guy literally ask me, a media guy the other day, and it I don't want to call him out, but he said, do you actually know Jaden? Have you actually spoken to him? And I'm like, are you really a media guy asking me this? Like, but that's the aura that Jaden has. It's
Mm.
almost like people think he just helicopters down for Sundays. And he's not out
This
there
is this is
during the
not an
week.
RG3 situation, and we're not trying to
Exactly.
punch bag on him,
Oh
but
man, this
Exactly.
it's
dude is
not.
real, man. And
Yeah.
it's a good feeling. So real quick here, guys. Give me 5 more minutes with you because I do want to get your take on this.
Mhm.
This is now, and I say this, the best thing to happen to Washington, they had success this year, the culture changed in the building. Could we be saying though that maybe one of the worst things that happened is the bar was raised so far as a fan, you guys being fans,
Mhm.
if Washington were to have a good year next year, but fall short of the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl, would you say it's a failure of a season at this point?
Hmm.
No, it's hard to
Okay.
get to that game. It's hard to get to that game.
If you'd have asked me 10 years ago, I probably would have said yeah. But me being an adult now, a actual fan of the team, a actual realistic fan of the team, to realize that this happened last year, it's like, oh, this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we could happen again. No, it's not. There's a reason why Buffalo went to 4 straight Super Bowls and didn't win. It's
Right.
hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
right.
Yeah.
Same with Minnesota back in the day. It's true.
So what would constitute what would constitute like we'll ask Reggie what would constitute a successful season for you next year?
A successful season, honestly, I'm gonna keep the bar high. I mean, as you know, as a fan from the '80s, we were there every year.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not into the NFC Championship, I'm not gonna be happy about it. So I might actually say, yeah, it's a failure. My expectations have been raised.
Okay, Brad.
Realistically, no, because nobody expected this year. And so just a home playoff game is successful to me, but getting back to the NFC Championship game, because that came out of nowhere, right?
Okay.
Like the Lions in San Francisco, they were expected to be there. We were not. So just a home playoff game, no injuries, and continue to show forward progress. I'm fine with that.
Okay, Brandon.
I think, like what Brad said, I think if we're in the playoffs, and yes, at home would be beautiful because, and I want Philly back.
Yeah.
I want, and there was, listen, look, we weren't supposed to be there from what all the analysts said, uh, except for you, sir. But I was happy if we were going to win 9 games. I truly said I think we're going to win 9 games. They busted my expectations. So yeah, I think if we can get in the playoffs again, I mean that's where we're supposed to be. Like Reggie said, like that was us in the '80s and '90s, man. We were always there,
Okay.
despite a few
Josh.
years here and there.
Josh, what you think?
Well, it's not going to really disappoint me, but I'm a little bit torn. I like what Reggie said. Yeah, I mean the bar is there, but it's just so hard to get to that game. It's so hard. I mean, look at Lamar in Baltimore. It's so hard. Look at Josh Allen in Buffalo. It's hard. It's hard to get to that game. But I'm with Brandon. I want Philly back.
Well, rest
I
assured, guys.
just want Philly back. Those games mean so much to me.
All right.
I'm
Well,
so
rest.
happy to destroy their.
Okay. All right. Well, look, rest assured, because I'm saying it now. They haven't made one free agent acquisition. They haven't drafted any players, but I believe in what they have in the building as far as Adam Peters and Dan Quinn. And
Yep.
because they have that quarterback, it just changes everything. So I'm saying, telling you guys right now, they're going to be playing the Eagles again. And I do believe in the NFC Championship. And I'm going to go one further. I think they're going to win one more game than they won this year. And the reason why I say that is because they're going to have more talent.
Mhm.
Everyone keeps saying, well, wait a minute, they're going to play the AFC West, they're going to play the NFC North. Didn't they just beat the king of the NFC North in their building?
Yeah.
Didn't they just beat the alleged golden child in Chicago? They beat them on the Hail Mary. Okay.
Yep.
I'll be in Atlanta, by the way, when they go down there.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
So,
We
so,
can
so,
go now.
so think of this.
I'm
So,
in
so think
Atlanta.
of this
The
though,
Minnesota
guys. Think of this though. Realistically, I keep telling people this. Yeah, the Hail Mary play against Chicago won a game, but they should have beat Pittsburgh. They had Pittsburgh
Yeah,
on
I
the ropes
agree.
in the fourth quarter, up 10. They didn't close the deal.
Should have
We
beat
all know
Dallas.
that Cowboy game was a
Yeah,
fluke.
should have swept Dallas. Yeah.
The way they lost that game.
Hey, we're
That's
off good
two
moves,
right
right?
there. That's two right there.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
to me, the only game all season long, and I remember being there for that first game against Tampa, that was their worst game of the season. If you ask
Yeah.
me. The Eagles game, the NFC Championship game, for the first half, they were in that football game. It's
Yeah.
just that they imploded. They picked the worst
Turnovers.
time
Got
to
too
have
big
the
for them.
worst half of football of the
The
season.
moment got too big for them on that one.
Absolutely. So they were there. So I think this football team, with some of these tweaks that we talked about earlier, I mean, like seriously, if they walk away with Myles Garrett or Max Crosby or both, now you should feel disappointed if they didn't get to the NFC Championship game.
You're not gonna be
Or
able
the
to shut me
Super
up
Bowl.
if we get both of them. You're not gonna be able to shut me up.
Man, y'all just remember where y'all heard
I mean,
it. You know, just remember where you heard it. So,
I heard it.
well, look,
Nobody's
fellas,
gonna be able to come out on this podcast, but the
right.
final.
I'm not gonna hold you guys any longer, man. Like I said, I greatly enjoy doing this, and I know some of
This is
my
a
colleagues
blast.
are like, man, you know, I saw you do stuff with the fans, you know, like why do you do that? And I'm like, what? Like if I don't have a job if it's not for you guys, and I sincerely mean that. Like you guys having supporting me, I'm gonna support you as fans, you know. So let's come on, let's
Watch
talk
everybody
about
start
this.
doing it, Lake. I bet you be a trend center. Watch everybody
Oh,
start
of
doing
course.
I
You know they will.
1,000% agree with that.
Well, if they reach out to you, tell them no, because you already
it.
got a
Oh
home.
no, yeah, it's all
Tell them no, you got a home right here. But yeah, like next week though, I'll be in Indy. So if you guys want to come on Friday,
Sure.
I'll be
I'm
I do
in.
you one
Let's do
better.
it.
Can I be? I do you one better. Can I be a cameraman while you out in Indy?
well, I got some big news coming up. Hopefully it's this week, and that's the goal. And you guys, so let me wrap this part of the show up. Don't go anywhere before I say that. So folks, listen, this is what we do. We bring in some fans, and these guys are more than fans. You know, they bleed burgundy and gold. You know, they love the football team. They love the trajectory of where they're going right now. And on top of that, they're big supporters of mine. So I'm always going to have these guys on. So once again, I appreciate you guys for coming on, and we'll be doing this again on Friday.
Absolutely.
It's always a great time chopping it up with the fans and just getting their take on things. And as you can tell, these are, you know, educated folks who know this team and they bleed burgundy and gold. And, you know, it's not trying to sell Kool-Aid, folks. You know, you're getting different takes. You know, you heard one fan say that he wouldn't make the trade for Myles Garrett. He wouldn't give up draft capital because you want something sustainable long term. But then you heard some people say, no, they're going to make the trade because it would be something good for the team because the window is open right now to get to a Super Bowl. So, you know, you heard my take on it. I would make the trade because you got to do that. But yeah, this is what we do on Fan Day. We let these guys come on and chop it up. And if you're interested in doing the same, all you have to do is DM me on social media at Lake Lewis Jr. DM me. Let me know that you want to come on, and we will make that happen for you. The next Fan Day will be Friday of this coming Friday. I'll be in Indianapolis at the Combine doing the show from there. But yes, I will be able to bring you on if you want to come on. So once again, DM me at Lake Lewis Jr. and we'll get you on. Friends and fans, I appreciate the support and I appreciate you joining the show. So as always, have a great weekend. Be safe out there, and we'll see you next week. Take care.